Welcome to day 5 here on Yar Coach's 20-day series of turning obstacles into opportunities. Thanks for being here today. I told you a little bit already about what it was like when I left my marriage and I was sort of in a heap. But one of the things that also occurred during that time was another happy accident, I think. I had spent my whole career teaching, or before I got a professional degree, working for banks or government agencies or institutions. In other words, I worked for people who put a paycheck in my bank every week or month and took care of my insurance and that kind of thing. So when all of my life sort of crumbled, when my marriage crumbled, I also got very ill and very sick, and so I left my career. I left my job as well. And we had bought this old house together, this 3-story Victorian historic home, and with the idea that if we decided to stay married, there'd be enough room for both of us to live in it, because we didn't really know what was going to happen. And it was a big house, and it had another building adjacent to it. And it had been a bed and breakfast prior to that. Now, I have 6 kids, and I have had a full-time job, and I really wasn't interested in having a bed and breakfast. Long story short, we got divorced. I no longer had my career. I was healing in a way that I needed to be home a lot. And so I opened a bed and breakfast. I had a really good friend who wanted to try her hand at being a chef, and she said, let's do this. So anyway, we did. I had never owned my own home. Never owned my own business. I wasn't thinking of being an entrepreneur. I just thought I was going to have a teaching career until, I retired. So what happened was the first 5 years that I had that thing, at least, I got in my own way because I really didn't believe I was adequate enough to own a business, to be self-supporting. I'd never had that experience. I didn't think people would want to come and eat my food. In fact, the only sort of iffy review I ever got was because I would send people to the restaurant to get food because I was a confident. I'd only cook for my kids. Anyway, as it turned out, it was great. They loved my food once my friend who's chef left and moved on to other things. So all of these things that I perceived that people would come into the house and go, no, they loved it. They loved it, and I didn't really believe that. They loved the way that the way the house looked. They loved the food, and I was really even not convinced when people told me that, because I was so insecure. I just had my previous life experiences. I just had my previous life experiences to go by. And so I just sort of made a mess of things, and in spite of myself ended up being very successful. But I had to work through a lot of preconceived notions about myself. And that's what we're doing here in these 20 days. I had some preconceived ideas. I can't do this. I've never made my own money, even though I had a career. I don't know how to do bookkeeping. I'm not good at math. All these things that I really believed and based my life on. And so today in day 5, we're going to talk about investigation. We're going to give you the opportunity to take a look at those preconceived stories that you tell yourself about your life and turn those obstacles that get in your way and turn them into opportunity. In other words, is it really true? One of the things that really messes people up, especially when they have kids, is that preconceived notion of, I don't know what I'm doing. I should be a fully developed, intent adult before I have a baby or before I bring kids into my home. Well, that usually doesn't happen. And the truth of the matter is, if you are a parent, kids can help you get through your developmental stages, which I keep them on my wall here. These developmental stages that I base my work on. So if you have thoughts kind of like, I never have enough money, and I will never have enough money. I will never have enough time. Everyone in my family's like this. we all have bad tempers. We all, I won't survive if I get divorced, or I won't survive if I lose my job, or I won't, all these things that only based on what people have said about us, maybe some erroneous input in our younger childhood stages of development that you can see ripple out into adulthood. And if we don't address them, we live our lives believing that stuff. Byron Katie is an author who wrote a book called Loving What Is. And that book really helped me so much through this stage of mine, because what Byron Katie says in that book is to question your thoughts. And you guys are probably way ahead of me, but I had never thought about questioning my thoughts. I didn't even know there were thoughts. I just thought, that's the way I am. This is the way I am. This is just how it works. It's just the way I am. I never thought to question why I believed what I believed about myself or the world. So she says, this is so cool. Question your thought if something comes up, an obstacle, and ask yourself, is that true? Is it really 100% true? Am I sure that I will never have enough? And if it's not 100% infallibly true, then why are you basing your life on that conjecture when it could just as well not be true? So those kinds of choices in thinking that we don't think about is what I'm asking you to do today. Ask yourself all those suppositions, especially as we're in this pandemic. You're going to have some decisions to make, and that's what we're going to move forward to in these 20 days. We have laid the groundwork here in these first 5 days. Your perception, your boundaries, your balance emotionally, your acceptance of the way things are, even though you may not want them to be that way. It doesn't fit your picture. And now you can investigate. Investigate your thoughts. This first quarter of these 20 days, this first 5 days, has been all about what's going on in here. All about what's inside of you. So I want to ask you today, make this your opportunity to challenge your story, to challenge what you feel is your identity. I'm poor. I come from a poor family. We're always going to be poor. Or I'm sick. My family's always been sick. We have a disease, and that's always how it's going to be. Or I had an adult tell me fairly recently some things were not going right with her and her grown kids, actually. And she said, but that's just the way I am. And I thought she had a choice here. You're choosing to go A, and you really could go B. Well, that's just how I am, she said. And I said, well, how long are you going to be that way? Because it doesn't seem to be working for you. And she looked at me like she had never in all of her years had anyone ask her, how long are you going to continue this pattern when it's really not working for the relationships that you care most about? How long are you going to continue that pattern? And it didn't occur to her that it even was a pattern. She had just heard, this is the way we are, this is the way I am, and she's lived her life by that. And so you can't learn to be yourself from anyone but you. There is no one like you. And the world needs you. Your family needs you. You are so worth investigation. So today on day 5, I invite you to investigate. Investigate your thoughts. And when something pops in your head, ask yourself, is that absolutely 100% true? Or is that just my perception that is knocking me off balance here? Okay? And Loving What Is might be a really good book for you to check out from the library or purchase if you want to. That's all I'll say about that. Have a great day. Day 5, you're a quarter of the way through. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to see you here tomorrow on day 6 when we're going to expand our investigation, expand our opportunities out into our homes. So these first 5 days, we've been in our heads, and then we're going to expand out into our homes. Thanks for taking the trip with me. I love you. Call me, comment if you need me, and otherwise I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.